Hello, Colorado, and thank you for joining us today for the release of the 2022-2023 budget for the state of Colorado. I'm joined by Director of the Office of State Planning and Budgeting, Lauren Larson, and Colorado's Lieutenant Governor, Diane Primavera. We're excited to present a fiscally prudent, balanced budget that invests record amount in our schools and saving people money on healthcare and makes historic one-time investments in clean air quality and in reducing crime. Colorado continues to be an economic leader nationally, with the second strongest economy in the country, the top state for employment, and in the top 10 for business environment and growth. This budget represents Colorado's next chapter. It's a guide for how we can capitalize on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to address some of our state's most challenging issues and create real transformational change while saving people money and protecting the Colorado way of life. As I speak to you today, Colorado and the country continue fighting the deadly COVID-19 virus. I am proud to announce that today, for the first time, Colorado has reached a milestone of 80% of adults 18 and up having at least their first dose of the life-saving vaccine. And I encourage everybody to go and get vaccinated to end this pandemic. At this point, the pain, the loss, the suffering is senseless. There's no purpose for it. We have a highly effective vaccine. Please get it. And if you're due to get a booster, go ahead and get that too for additional level of protection. There's incredibly positive efforts in public health and economic recovery, and we look forward to building back even stronger than before the pandemic. We've been through a lot these last 19 months, and that's why our budget doubles down on my commitment to saving Coloradans on money, reducing fees, putting money back in folks' paycheck, protecting the Colorado way of life, fighting crime. These are proposals that Colorado will see and feel in their everyday lives. It meets Coloradans where they're at. It's our response to the call of the moment to help improve the quality of life in Colorado. This budget proposal includes historic investments, record investment in K-12 education, the highest per pupil funding, and the highest total funding for our public schools ever in the history of Colorado. Putting money in Coloradans' pockets through fee relief and protecting wages and reducing increases in payroll taxes, protecting our way of life by improving public safety, improving air quality, housing that's more affordable, and supporting the mental and behavioral health need of our residents. And of course, it's grounded in fiscal responsibility, including a record level of reserves. Overall, this budget is fiscally responsible and makes transformative investments in the state of Colorado. We're requesting a historic reserve of $2 billion. We're also proposing transformative one-time investments that total $1.3 billion and prioritizing leverage of the federal American Rescue Plan funds through matches with local government and the private sector and philanthropic sector to tackle our state's greatest challenges. There's 4 key elements of this budget: fiscal responsibility, historic investments in education and workforce, putting money back into Coloradans' paychecks and supporting Colorado businesses, and healthy and safe communities. We're really building on the foundation that was laid by the bipartisan work of the last General Assembly to help Colorado recover faster and stronger than before. Colorado is facing a once-in-a-generation opportunity to make transformational investments, but as we do this, we also have the responsibility to invest in the future of our state that prepares us for rainy days and to meet whatever challenges lie ahead. That's why I'm submitting a balanced budget that not only protects our fiscal health this year, but sets aside record resources to meet our obligations in the years ahead. It builds on our efforts of work with the General Assembly and Joint Budget Committee to set a historic state general fund reserve of 15%, and our ability to continue to fund priorities like public education and healthcare also it requires a budget stability over the next several years, and that's why we're proposing $1.8 billion investment to prepay some of the state's most important programs to ensure that essential services continue and we have a solid fiscal foundation. Look, education is the best investment as a state that we make. It's one of the reasons I ran for governor is to end the systemic underfunding of our public schools, to pay teachers better. It's why I'm extremely proud to put forward a budget that invests a historic level of funding in our public schools. This is the highest total and per pupil investment the state has ever made. We reduced the budget stabilization factor by $150 million to 4.7%. 13-year low since it's been measured. We also propose prepaying $300 million to the State Education Fund to maintain this new higher level of investment in our public schools. We add financial aid and investments to the cost of higher education. We invest $30 million in one-time funds to renovate up to 15 state facilities to include child care centers across educational institutions and work sites, so our state leads by example, and $21 million to help to match workers with good-paying jobs. Another key priority is fee relief and tax relief and putting money back in Coloradans' paychecks and supporting Colorado businesses. This budget invests in our workers, in our small businesses, with unemployment insurance, family insurance premium relief, high priority programs and services that are really critical to our state's success. First, we propose $104 million in fee relief for individuals and businesses, including prepaying the family leave premium so that we delay when people have to pay that. Healthcare professional relief so that nurses and don't have to pay their annual licensing fee. And I'm very excited to say, making it free to start a business in Colorado. I look forward to partnering with Secretary of State Jenna Griswold on this important relief for Colorado businesses so that they don't have to pay any fee to start a new business, to encourage entrepreneurship and tomorrow's great companies right here in Colorado. $600 million in unemployment insurance premium relief from pandemic-related unemployment insurance charges that will save both employers and employees money on payroll taxes. $51 million to help businesses find workers and help workers get the skills they need through short-term credentials, through boosting apprenticeships, and also making sure they have meaningful childcare opportunities so they can successfully return to the workforce. We also want to save people money on healthcare. We're joined by the head of our Office of Saving People Money on Healthcare, Lieutenant Governor of Colorado, Diane Primavera, who joins me in this. And I think we are all so grateful for our nurses, our doctors, our frontline workers who have cared for and even today care for thousands of Coloradans. Even in the midst of the challenges posed by the pandemic up through and through today, Colorado's made critical strides in saving people money in healthcare. With this budget, we're building on that momentum. $530 million over 3 years to protect and transform community-based services, including making sure our caregiving workforce has a minimum wage of at least $15 an hour. $24 million to reward innovation for high-quality health care that's cost-effective through an alternative payment model. $11 million for e-health innovation to enable data and technology, especially for our rural healthcare providers. And leveraging $550 million in investments to really address the behavioral and mental health crisis our state is facing. The bulk of that through the interim process, working with Republicans and Democrats in the state legislature and experts. We're looking to partner with local governments to make that investment far more than just the $550 million the state is putting in. We want that to be leveraged by additional philanthropic, private sector, city and county investment. The COVID-19 pandemic also has highlighted the need to help keep Coloradans safe and secure in our homes and communities. And that's why we're introducing a strong public safety component of our budget to fight crime and ensure individuals and families are able to live safely in their communities. My 2022-2023 budget proposes to invest $113 million in public safety. The public safety package is a bold investment to reduce crime, ensure safer streets, build diversity of our public safety workforce, and provide support, training, and financial support for our hardworking police officers. It also helps get people the treatment they need by expanding and investing in community policing models, co-response models, adding early intervention programs, and data-driven programs that we know will reduce crime. We also include initiatives to reduce recidivism and prevent domestic violence. We also know that for too long, the state has turned a blind eye towards helping our cities deal with their homelessness issues. No longer. The state of Colorado needs to stand up and partner with Denver, with Colorado Springs, with Aurora, with communities across our state that are impacted by homelessness. We need to reduce homelessness in Colorado, and my administration wants to partner with local communities to get that done. That's why we're asking for $200 million to leverage local funding and other funding sources to reduce homelessness. Our key priorities include $100 million to leverage with local and external resources for a competitive grant program to help local communities invest in community response to reduce homelessness. Investment in 2 key supportive residential recovery campuses. This is to help get people off of substance abuse, alcohol, and drugs, like Fort Lyons, one in Denver, and one at our state-owned Ridgeview site, leveraging dollar for dollar with local matching funds from regional communities to help people overcome the cycle of addiction. And $5 million to help inform intervention strategies and really create the coordination of resources needed to reduce homelessness. As part of creating a healthier and safer community, we also want to increase the safety of our streets. Building on a $52 million investment made over the past few years, I'm seeking an additional $40 million to design and build safer streets to support our local downtown businesses, the safety of pedestrians and bikers, including transit and bikeways and multimodal access. We also, it's also past time to take action on air quality and climate. We simply cannot afford to wait, and we need to act with the fierce urgency of the moment to lead on improving our air quality and achieving our bold climate goals. Clean air is critical to maintaining our quality of life. And thanks to the partnership with the General Assembly, I'm proud to have signed 48 laws advancing clean energy and clean air. This budget continues and amplifies our aggressive pursuit of air quality improvements in Colorado by investing $424 million of one-time money in a broad set of targeted initiatives that will produce real results. $255 million for rapidly greening our transportation system, including $150 million to position Colorado as a national leader in the electrification of our school bus fleet. Not only improvements to air quality, but also health improvements for students, especially students with asthma, with the phasing out of diesel buses. And of course, operational cost savings for school districts will no longer have to buy fuel. $50 million for decarbonization of the industrial and aviation sector. $4.5 million for the environmental efficiency of the cannabis industry, an increasing source of energy usage. $52 million for the Air Pollution Control Division to have better monitoring of emissions, support the changeover to cleaner technology in several smaller sectors, and more thoroughly engage with communities about accelerating the clean energy transition. The budget also includes a capital request for Colorado state-owned buildings that prioritizes $225.9 million in projects that also mitigate environmental harm, reduce water and electricity usage, and reduce resource waste. Many of these buildings are 40, 50, 60 years old, and we're very excited to be able to invest in not only more effective buildings to provide our services, but also much more energy efficient and water efficient buildings. Look, our state faces significant challenges in housing, and that's because Colorado is a great place to live, and people want to move here and live here, but we're victims of our own success. And the increase in housing prices has created a very real challenge for low and middle income families trying to enter the housing market with a purchase or even trying to rent a place close to where they work. My priority is to leverage funds to encourage greater supply of housing on the entire continuum of housing development, and also ensuring that these new resources and investments are made in a way that supports our air pollution reduction goals, environmentally forward solutions, and constitutes well-planned growth. We propose $100 million for investments in strong communities, to provide infrastructure grants for local infill infrastructure needed to help support and catalyze affordable housing developments, $25 million for financing energy improvements for affordable housing, saving low and low middle income families money on their electricity bill and their gas bill, $25 million for housing innovation incentives to support and grow prefabricated housing production capacity right here in Colorado, close to where those prefab houses will be deployed, also creating jobs in Colorado, and $25 million for the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority's Middle Income Access Program. This is a budget informed by Coloradans and for Coloradans, combining fiscal responsibility with the building blocks for transformational change and immediate relief for hardworking Coloradans. I look forward to working with legislative leadership, the Joint Budget Committee, and members of the General Assembly to bring this exciting vision to life for the people of our state. Happy to take some questions.
Governor John Frank here. The rising crime rates and homelessness have been a problem for a while now. So why are you just now focusing on it? And is this a response to the upcoming 2022 campaign?
Well, there's been no other budget where the state has had the ability to direct such a substantial amount of one-time funds towards a pressing problem. The $200 million proposed investment in homelessness and reducing homelessness is over 2 years. The public safety investment of $113 million is largely one-time funds. There's about a $17 million ongoing piece of that after the second year. So we are thrilled to be able to have this opportunity with one-time funds to make a real dent in reducing crime and in helping reduce homelessness in the state of Colorado. So the short answer, John, is we haven't had this opportunity before with one-time funds.
Governor, I was hoping you could talk a little bit more about the prepaying the family leave premium aspect. How long would that last? Would it be the full payment for businesses? And then also, you talked about the $600 million you want to go to the unemployment insurance. It sounds like that's the deficit, but it's $1 billion, right? So I think there would still be about a $400 million gap.
Yeah, so on the first one, it would delay the premium that people would have to pay for about 6 months. And it would push it out closer to when the benefits kick in. By prepaying that, I believe it's $53 million. We'll get you the exact dollar amount. The $600 million for the Unemployment Trust Fund covers the biggest part of the pandemic-related deficit. There was a liability within the fund when I took office, a historic liability. I'm actually proud to say the bleeding has stopped. It's not getting worse now. We still have a big hole to fill. Our top priority is preventing large increases in the payroll tax that affect both businesses and employees, and we're confident that a $600 million investment will do that. It's about half for easing the premiums, the otherwise increased premiums, and half for recapitalizing the UI Trust Fund.
Governor, you mentioned $255 million going to greening the state's transportation system, and you said 150 is for school buses. What's the other 105?
Yeah, I have that, and I can look it up. It includes things like accelerating clean trucks, and I'll find the page. Lauren, if you can help me find the page, that would be great. Okay, it's 2-3 and 2-4 in your books. These will be available. It includes ozone season transit fares, so looking to partner with local transit agencies to provide state matching funds to provide free bus passes during the high pollution season. Low emission trucks, $15 million, which I mentioned. Electric bike rebates and ride shares, $12 million. Let's see. Those are some of the items. They're all listed here, and I think I mentioned some in other categories. But it's the total is on the clean. So it's electric bus investment 150, multimodal main streets 40, ozone season transit fares 28 million, low emission trucks 15 million, electric bike and ride share 12 million. Burnham Yards, NEPA, and Front Range Rail NEPA 10 million. So that is getting those projects to the point where they can be developed through the NEPA process.
Governor, you talked about how public safety and homelessness, the spending line items you talked about are not priorities previously, but it's just that there's money for them now. That's basically the same logic other Democrats apply to when they say they want to keep money above the Ref C cap in out years, that there's other things that the state needs to spend that money on as opposed to refund it to taxpayers. What's your position on that idea from Democratic members of the JDC?
Well, we did go to the voters on referendum CC. I strongly supported that. The voters wanted to keep their refunds, and so that's the law. So is that your question?
Democrats are talking about recategorizing money in the budget so that the state does not have to refund taxpayers in the next couple of years.
Well, the state does. We went to the voters with referendum CC, and so that failed. There could be future ballot initiatives or asks in the future. I'm not aware of those, any of them in particular. But yeah, if they want to use some of the surplus money for something else, they would go to the voters to do that. I would just say that, of course, homelessness has risen to the level of state priority. We can no longer just say, Denver, you deal with it, it's your fault. Colorado Springs, you deal with it. Aurora, you deal with it. I think it's become an issue that affects all of us as Coloradans, and it's appropriate that there's a state response to reducing homelessness in partnership with our cities.
Yeah, sorry, following up from what Ed was talking about with the electrification, talk about the free fares and how much, is that one of the main barriers where people aren't using transit?
Yeah, I would say that free fares can accomplish two things, and we hope to be able to reach agreements with several transit agencies and cities to be able to implement that in a way where the state is paying for part of it and they're providing in-kind support for part of it. What it leads to, of course, and the data shows this, is increased ridership during the free fare period. But in addition, it can play a role in changing habits and supporting long-term increases in ridership of public transit.
Hi, Governor. This is Mary Ann Goodland with Colorado Politics. You talked about a $1.8 billion in prepaying
Yes.
various different things, $300 million for the state ed fund, $104 million for paid leave premiums. What are the other big ticket items in that $1.8 billion?
Yes, and I believe I have a page on that. Do you have the page, Lauren? 6.3, and I'll walk you through it. So it's $300 million for the state education fund. Pre-funding the Colorado Wins 3-year partnership agreement funding that locked in 3% increases, that's $71 million. Prepaying family, $58 million. Prepaying universal preschool, $354 million. Affordable housing, protecting general fund transfers from affordable housing, $147 million. Payments for CDOTs, COPs for road improvements, prepaying those for 3 years, $270 million. Delaying the regulatory fee increase for air quality, $37 million by prepaying it. Prepaying the SB 21-228 para prepay to ensure pension financing, $380 million. And delaying and extending SB 21-224 on controlled maintenance by prepaying $220 million. Total of $0.1837 million. I would also say that if there's other prepays that are preferable to the legislature, we'll certainly look forward to working with them to do that. But the key aspect here is for the budget to remain stable and sustain these levels of investment in our public schools over time, we need the prepay package to be about $1.8 billion.
Hey, Governor, Marshall Zellinger, 9 News. I noticed from a late September interview with Colorado Public Radio, you referenced that ground ozone was not what you hear from constituents every day, that it was more wildfire smoke. But your budget calls for more than $300 million in either monitoring or programs that solve ground ozone issues. Why are you spending that much money on an issue you don't hear from constituents every day?
Yeah, that was one of the more annoying questions from CPR because, of course, people could barely breathe because of the fire smoke. Nobody was complaining about ozone. But the truth is that we react to, of course, health experts in the state of Colorado. And we know that our ozone non-attainment area, one of my first actions as governor was avoiding the blaming, overseas and external sources for our ozone and taking particular action in our ozone attainment area. You can't see it, you can't smell it, but it's not healthy. So that's why we're taking bold action on that. It has nothing to do with what people were complaining about, which is they couldn't breathe because of the particulate matter in the air, which is also very, very unhealthy. That is also a result of climate change. It's yet another reason we need to lead on climate change is the increased incidence of fires across the American West, and of course the resultant particulate matter in our air, whether the fires are in Colorado or Arizona or Idaho. But there's nothing that a state budget can do about that other than showing leadership by example on climate, which this bold investment in clean air also achieves.
Hey, Governor John. Hi, Governor John Daly, Colorado Public Radio. Quick question for you. Last night, yesterday, you issued some executive orders regarding hospitals. Is this a signal that we're entering kind of a new and potentially dangerous phase of the pandemic, even though we've hit that 80% of eligible adults with the first shot?
Yeah, it's the 20% who haven't been vaccinated that are filling up our hospital wards. We would have none of these hospital capacity issues or orders would be operative if everybody was vaccinated. We'd have maybe 100, 200, 300 people in our hospitals instead of 1,200 people in our hospitals, which strains our capacity. So I previewed the 5 things that we were going to do around hospital capacity. We've done 3 of them to date. The transfers, rerouting folks who had been working in cosmetic surgery to help with the surge of patients, and the one that we had already done when I made the announcement. And the 2 others, crisis standards of care and supplemental through FEMA teams. I expect, unless there's a reversal of trends, will be likely in the next few days. We actually specified and clarified the authority for emergency standards of care. This is particularly tragic now because it's essentially entirely preventable. Just to show how effective the vaccine was, I highlighted the fact that just over the last 3 or 4 months since Delta came, we've lost 31 people under the age of 40. 30 of them were unvaccinated. The one who was vaccinated, who we lost, had a terminal disease anyway and succumbed to COVID. So 0 healthy people under 40 died from COVID who were vaccinated. The numbers from 40 to 60 are almost as good. I don't have it in front of me, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's 153 people we've lost in that age group. Only 13 of them were vaccinated. The others were all unvaccinated. Look, you don't want to get COVID, even if you're vaccinated, but the fatality rate and hospitalization rate are so much lower if you take that simple step. With the prevalence of COVID in our community, it makes more sense now than ever before to get vaccinated. And I would add, when you're eligible after 6 months, get a booster, as I did and as my loved ones did, to increase your level of protection even more.
Could you talk a bit more about the 51 million you're putting toward helping people hire workers, which I know is a major problem right now? How is that going to be doled out? Is this a new program, or how's it going to work?
Find the page number for me, Lauren. That's the narrative piece, I think. Okay. So 5 million is for navigational services, outreach, work-based learning opportunities, including apprenticeships, to make multiple contacts in each community. We have 7 million that supports Coloradans to enroll in certificate and job training skills. It can replace lost earning during that period so they can upgrade their skills to meet workforce needs. Support for technical assistance to capital around human capital development. Child care facilities is a big piece of that. So that's 30 million right there, because that is a big barrier to workforce participation, and that will create more child care options for hardworking Coloradans, and remove existing barriers to freeing up additional participation in the workforce. So I think that is one of the higher ticket items in there, but I went through 30, 7, 7, and 5. Hopefully that adds up to about the right amount. 44, 49, so we're pretty close. We'll find the other 3 for you.
Are any of those new, or are they continuations of existing programs with more money?
Some of the, some of the proposals in the budget would require legislation. Others can be done administratively through funding by the Joint Budget Committee in the legislature. We'll be happy to get back to you on those 4 specifically, whether they need legislation or can be done strictly as a budget item.
Last question from the phone.
Governor John Frank here again. I'm wondering how this budget reflects the priorities you'll outline in your 2022 campaign, if at all.
Well, that's, today we're presenting a budget for the state of Colorado that works. It's about tax and fee relief. It's about reducing crime. It's about reducing homelessness. It's about making more housing opportunities affordable for Coloradans. John, I just believe that if you do your job as governor and you meet the needs of what people want, they'll reward you by allowing you to serve in office. So, our whole budget is oriented around meeting the needs of where people are and helping to solve problems and improve the quality of life in Colorado. So, that's what I want to do every day as governor. And if I do a good job, and I deliver for the people of Colorado, as we have been with universal preschool and kindergarten, saving people money on healthcare, more than 24% in the exchange, investing in infrastructure to reduce traffic. If we continue to address the real pain points and challenges that Coloradans face, then that'll presumably be what we talk about, when I run for office. Any other questions?
This $200 million for homelessness,
Yes.
and deciding that this was a state priority that you needed to get in. And obviously a lot of mountain communities too are trying to battle this. I don't know if you could talk a little bit about what the trigger point or what the pivot point is for you that you decided that there needed to be state intervention, because certainly...
Yeah, I would say, look, I and many Coloradans have not been happy with how this has been going. our cities are struggling with homelessness. It's increased. So we can either keep doing the same thing with it, which isn't working, or we can say, you know what? Cities can't do this alone. The state needs to step up and help them reduce homelessness. And strategies that work, in Glenwood, in Eagle, in Basalt, might be different than strategies for Denver or Aurora. And we want to empower our local communities. That's why the bulk of this program are matching grants for local investments. But we also know the contributions that drug and alcohol abuse make to homelessness. And that's why we know we need more capacity for inpatient treatment and expanding on what we already offer at Fort Lyons in 2 new facilities across the Denver area in partnership with local government to help meet the need. The third piece is behavioral health, and that ties into the $500 million investment in behavioral health. But for many, they simply need help to be able to get back on their feet and support themselves. And we want to make sure they have the behavioral health support services to be able to get off the street and be able to restore their dignity. Thank you, everybody.